The group component I think is so fascinating, and I've shared this with you. I have been in this space for about the same amount of time that you've been in Paciolan, right? I was at Eloqua before they were acquired by Oracle, and so I have watched a lot of organizations and the pace of their maturing on the platform over the years. I really feel like your client base has been through such an accelerated trajectory, in large part because of how much collaboration there has been, how much you bring them together, how much they have kind of shared best practices and socialized those more broadly across the organization. So we see many of these teams as fierce competitors on the field, but I feel like they're just as fierce collaborators behind the scenes, because they're all trying to do the same thing. And I had the privilege of attending your customer conference last year. I want to ask you kind of what are some of the things that have evolved that you have seen just through that process. I'll share one of my own because I just think it's so fun. There was a panel at your conference, and they were sharing some of these best practices. And the one that stood out to me that I just thought was absolutely hilarious is they said, we learned very quickly, because we were in a routine where right after a game, we want to we want to put a survey out, we want to collect feedback. Their best practice was, don't send surveys after we lose. We just don't need to hear the feedback after a loss. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There was, and I know that those in the sports and entertainment industry who have ever sent out a survey can relate. I mean, we talked about the passion and the crazy fandom that exists in our world. Sometimes, whenever I'm having a bad day, I will go find a customer survey or an end of season survey and just read the results and realize that everything is going to be okay. Because there are death threats, there are, I mean, it is just ridiculous, and I'm sure we can all relate. But you're right. I mean, the community has been a huge advantage that we have as a company, in that we did those group trainings almost out of necessity. But what we learned was that by putting everyone together in a room and training, the questions and the conversations around, hey, how can I do this, really benefited everyone, right? And not just our clients but us. Like, how are we thinking about training, how are we thinking about setting up Eloqua in a way that is as efficient as it can be for like-minded individuals. And while our fans may be different and while our teams may be better or worse, there's a lot of similarities in how we can understand what data is available and how we can practically apply that data with the functionality and technology that is available through Eloqua and through Relationship One, right? So we are fostering a continued community of user generated content of best practices that we share. We have our own Eloqua landing page that we publish best practices from the communities, everything from landing pages to automated programs to we use the personalization manager through R1 and how to use that to really personalize messaging using all the data that's in there. So really just thankful for the community that has been built, and it gets stronger and stronger every year.